welcome to another episode of Morelia Python Radio. And tonight we are talking with Josh Hatten and Mark Green of Josh and Greeny's Wild Aussie Adventure. So I stumbled upon these guys. I'm always searching for people herping Australia, right? I mean,
I don't think
there's
you watch
not enough
television anymore.
YouTube content of herping Australia. I watch hikers that go hiking in Australia. Yeah. I watch, like Josh Carr, his YouTube channel is amazing, just cool stuff. So I stumbled upon these guys, and at the very beginning of their video, it says top end pythons, and I was
know
oh
those
my God.
people.
I know them. So I figured let's reach out and let's have a chat, and we're gonna talk about their YouTube channel. Then they got some awesome content that they got going on there, and we are stuck here, Owen, when we've missed what 2 trips so far.
I have missed one. I was not going to make the last one, so I have missed what would have been this one. So
yeah, So yeah, we were hoping that everything would be cleared up in October of 2021, but apparently the world said no.
Yep. So still waiting.
So still waiting and waiting, but you're leaving for Arizona. In a few days or a week or whatever it is.
Yeah, a week and a couple days. So going to Arizona, I will
hunt rattlesnakes.
Yep, with hunting
Gila
rattlesnakes.
Monsters.
Yes, Gila monsters, rattlesnakes.
Before we jump into Australia and forget about the U.S., scrap. Yeah. What do you hope to find there?
Dude, Rob sent us a list, and there were so many rattlesnakes on there. I'm like, yes, please. I'll take 2 sidewinders and a Gila monster, and that's fine. It's cool because I'm going with, of course, Rob will be there. He's like our small little Sherpa on all herping trips. Like, he's planned everying. But Keith's going to be there, so I almost have the entire Owen Pelly Python Collegiate. I'm gonna print out a picture of you and have it on a popsicle stick, and I'll just carry it around places. So I'll just put it down. What? Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I don't care what rattlesnake you find.
I
don't care how many rattlesnakes you find.
Yes.
I don't care what species it is. I don't care where it's at. It could be the perfect picture in situ. Doesn't matter. It is not going to ever touch finding an Owen Pelly python.
Well, of course. That's the idea. Okay. Well, and Rob's like, "What's your dream species that we're gonna find?" I'm like, "Do they have OPs in Arizona?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, then I don't know what to do." So
why are we going?
Yeah, why are we doing this? So it's but no, I'm excited to see that, especially because you guys went to Texas without me and found like all the rattlesnakes you could ever possibly find. So I am definitely looking forward to going and finding some stuff. So yeah, and plus, dude, I need to get out and do some herping. Come on, man.
Yeah. So, but we're gonna. My allergies are real bad, so if I cough or whatever during this episode, or if you hear me gasping for air, it's all right. We're gonna keep pushing on. The show must go on.
Hit the adrenaline into your thigh. Yeah, it's fine. Keep going.
Right. All right, enough of us rambling. Let's get Josh and Mark on the show. Josh and Mark, welcome to Morelia Python Radio. How you doing? We're talking to you from the future, I guess, right? We're in the past, you're in the future.
Going fantastic. Thank you guys for having us on. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Awesome. So go ahead, Owen. You start your what happened?
What's happening?
Oh, there we go.
So I don't know what's going on, but so we normally ask people when they first come onto the show, it's like what got you into like reptiles and stuff like that. And obviously you guys are like huge nature guys, but it kind of seems like you lean towards the reptiles a little bit. So I mean, what got you guys into that whole thing?
Most definitely. We've always been, right into all wildlife. But for myself and Mark, reptiles have always been our main passion. And, ever since being 5 years old, running around catching lizards in your backyard in Australia, it's pretty easy to get drawn into seeing them. And, of course, having a mentor like Steve Irwin to look up to, that was kind of how I started. I was keeping, I got my first ever reptile when I was 7 years old. I got a eastern long-necked turtle. And from then, the curse had hit. I had blue tongues and Jackie dragons from down the creek. And by the time I was 11 years old, I had about 13 reptiles already. So I've always gravitated towards reptiles, and have been fortunate enough to keep them at home and see a lot in the wild and work with them professionally as well.
Nice.
Yeah, similar to Josh. I mean, pretty similar to most people, I guess. I was like 6 years old when I got my first snake. Pretty much nagged mum and dad, like, I want a pet snake, and eventually convinced around. And I got a coastal carpet, hatchling coastal carpet for my first snake at 6 years old.
6 years old, and you got a coastal carpet python? That is.
It started growing quickly, and I had to sort of adapt to it. I think I was about 7 or 8. Got bitten by this thing that's like 5 foot long, and I'm crying to mum and dad. but yeah, it still didn't deter me, and then the same sort of just progressed from there. Probably between 15 and 16, that's when we started getting into more looking for wild herps rather than captive. But still always maintained a fairly large captive collection at the same time.
That's awesome. So, like, what do you guys' collections look like now currently? With you guys doing the wild? What?
I have to pause. I just noticed he has a Rattlesnakes of Arizona shirt.
What the hell is that?
And I have a carpet python shirt on.
What am I doing wearing a blood python shirt? Damn you, Matt Minatola.
Very cool.
When you were talking Rattlesnakes of Arizona, I was doing these ones.
Is
Very
that
cool.
like? Sorry. Is that like something that, like, I know we're talking about going to Arizona. We're like, oh, we can't go to Australia, so I guess we'll fuck around in Arizona looking around for rattlesnakes. Like, is that something you guys are like, I want to go like right now?
Arizona is absolutely tops. I was lucky enough to go there a few years ago. Is where I got this shirt.
Okay.
Some of the best herping I've ever done. Some of the scenery and going around looking for healers and rattlers. It was such a cool place. So when you're going herping in Arizona, I'm very jealous.
Yeah, but you guys are leaving
tomorrow. You guys are gonna like walk over a diamond python and be like, there it is again. Same one that's diamond in my yard. Python. Fucking thing. Yeah, and then just keep going about your day. Yeah. So so back to the thing, like, what do your guys' collections look like currently? Like, what are you guys working with?
So myself and Mark are actually living together at the moment.
Okay.
At the moment, I don't have heaps. I've got some maculosa. I've got a couple of diamond pythons as well.
Nice.
Got rough scale pythons and jungles. I've downsized massively. At one point, when I was 17 years old, I had 120 snakes at my house, and that was just my private collection. So with the idea of myself and Mark being able to get out into the wild a bit more, I had to downsize to a smaller collection. Mark's still got a few things.
I've been trying to downsize for like the last couple of years, but it's just a process. I've got the scrub python for this enclosure in the back end. She's not currently in there, but she's about 4 meters long at the moment. Had her since a hatchie. Other pythons, got like northern diamonds, or probably like what you guys would refer to intergrades. I've got a really nice line of those outside in the aviary. Real nice high yellows.
Nice.
Yeah, a couple of just bits and pieces like marble children's, roughies. And then I'm also going to like the Aussie lapids, so I keep a few lapids as well. Albino death.
Oh, cool.
Tiger snake. Butler eye, spotted mulga snakes.
Right.
Cool.
I've had a fair few brown snakes over the year. I've cut back on them quite a bit now. I've just got strap snout of brown and a Mangdanite at the moment.
Okay.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite species of Venomous?
Yeah.
Probably speckled brown's probably the biggest thing on my wish list.
Okay.
Been trying. I want to get hold of them eventually, but waiting off at the moment. The price tag's a bit rich at the moment, so I want to make the right animals. Some of the nice banded ones, so I'm just holding off.
So, I'm going to ask this question because the listeners at this point, they won't be able to see that there's this huge enclosure behind you guys. That's like,
it's like
make Nipper have a tear in his eye
compared to yours.
You know?
Yeah.
I think we could have a party in there. It's so big.
I mean, you could live in there comfortably.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
No worries. That's fine. Yeah.
There's some lighting at the moment because it's sort of semi-outdoor indoor. So like this is my lounge room. Like we're sitting in the lounge room, and then it's attached onto the outside of the house. So like I can open up my lounge room windows to get access into the enclosure. But then there's also an outdoor full door that I can walk in there and stuff as well. But yeah,
that's cool.
Because it's semi-outdoors, it lets natural sunlight in. But it doesn't work obviously it's quite glary as you guys can see, so it looks a lot better at night. It's got downlights and stuff in it, so at night it'll really light up and look awesome.
We've been mock rocking in there, having a party in there, let me tell you.
There you go.
I'm so excited to get these snakes because Mark's snakes Mark's got a big scrubby and I've got a scrubby as well. But she's a little bit too small, I think, to be with Mark's just yet. We don't want to risk.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
At this point in time, but having a big scrubby there when we're sitting on the couch watching the football is going to be perfect.
Man,
that's the idea. I mean, Eric's got this one room that's got a window in it, and I bet you right now he's like, how can I convince my wife to allow me to have an outdoor enclosure attached to the house through a window to an indoor enclosure? Yeah,
I will have to work some magic and buy some presents or something.
Gonna have to do something with that.
Sweet talk. So
that's a big
here's a question for you guys as being guys that go out into the field now and whatnot, and saying you're downsizing your collection a bit and whatnot. But are you do you get fueled by going out and seeing an animal in the wild and then you sort of want to see it in captivity, or is it vice versa to where you have worked with an animal in captivity and you got to see it in the wild? And how has that changed your whole thought of keeping reptiles?
For myself, I've been so lucky to have kept and worked with many of species of Australian reptile and also exotic reptiles as well. And for me, getting out into the wild and have worked with them and then seeing them in their natural habitat and seeing the variants and the environment that they live in has always been a major draw card for me. Mainly, I love to go out and see animals that I've kept or animals that I do want to keep in the future as well, because I really do believe by seeing their natural environments and conditions that they have to put up with and the conditions of certain individuals themselves, you can really get a good idea of how to keep that species.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the more time you spend in the wild and the same, just I guess we're having more of an approach where we like to sit back and actually observe what the animals are doing and then use that to better our captive animals. At the end of the day, we want to try and provide the best environment we can for them in captivity. So it's an awesome sort of combining the two to better the animals.
We are actually going to be moving up to a really good spot in Australia called Cairns very, very soon. And our plan is to have some. We're downsizing at the moment, but we're going to be getting a decent collection back once we move up there. The aim is to house everything outdoors. So we've got some really cool enclosure ideas, and we're certainly going to still be working on them. But we want to be able to keep pretty much all of our animals outdoors and as naturalistic as we can.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That's good for really the benefit of them. Yeah. So you guys obviously have this YouTube channel and kind of like a nice following going with that. What kind of made you guys decide to start that up rather than just like, were you guys fucking around outside and we're like, somebody should film this? Like, is that what ended up started with that? Or was there like a group meeting or what brought that about?
Well, myself and Mark have been mates for years, ever since we were like 14 years old at the Port Macquarie Herp Society. We used to get our mums to drag us there, and that's how myself and Mark have met. And for many, many years, we've been going out on herping trips. We've very, very little money, swagging it, sleeping on the side of the road, getting out, find some really cool wildlife. And we've done some amazing trips and we've found some awesome reptiles so far. And we've been talking about it for so long, and we really wanted to create a YouTube channel that in years to come, if all that comes from it, we can look back and go, wow, we had some great times. We found some really cool animals, and from a minimum, that's what we wanted. But we also want to be able to get out there and show what it's like herping in Australia. Show some of the awesome scenic areas that we get to go to, and just try and film some really professional, almost documentary style footage as best we can to really give everyone a really good idea of, not just some of those big ticket reptile items that a lot of people think of. You think of your green pythons, your taipans, your inlands, all stuff like that. But, being able to find some more unique species that not many people have ever heard of, let alone get good footage of, that was our goal.
That's awesome.
We're sort of appreciating more a lot of the stuff like the smaller stuff that we normally overlook as well. It's like, it's a good reason to go out and find that stuff again, get cool footage of it, because no one else is really doing that. But most people just brush it off. It's not the big ticket items. So it's cool. It's given us more inspiration to get out again, where we've been doing it for that long, and the same sort of brush things aside. It's motivated us more to get out again.
Most definitely.
Awesome. So I have a story that can relate to that, and as far as when we first went to Australia, we went to Cairns, and then we went to Chillagoe, and then we went to Brisbane.
Nice.
And that was sort of our trek, right? And when we went out to Chillagoe, we were sitting by the caves and whatnot, and we're just sitting there, and there's these skinks running around on the rock. And I'm watching, I guess the male skink is taking charge of his rock, and another one jumps on and he chases it off, and I'm just sitting there mesmerized by these skinks, and it just flashes into my mind that if I saw these skinks at a reptile show, I would probably pass over them and not give them a second look.
Yeah.
And what a shame that is, because these are so freaking cool.
Oh yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought about that. I think it was when you guys were up at the Black Mountain. You had those skinks that were running. Was it the beach? Maybe it was on a beach or something, that there was those black rocks and the little skinks were running around in the video. Am I getting the two confused?
There's two, Chili Beach. There was coastal.
Chili Beach. That was it.
That was just on the boulders right on the edge of the beach.
Yeah.
They're copping salt water and wind and crazy conditions, and they're out running around.
And I'm watching that, and it just took me back to that moment, and I was like, wow, man, that's so cool that they paid attention to the skink, and it's not just the big scrub python, or to what you guys are saying, like the flashy stuff, but
exactly. All these things get
very, very cool.
Booked all the time in the wild, and everyone just brushes them off because they're not the big ticket items. Like, if you actually sit back and the same, like, we're trying to get good equipment to get really good footage of those things to show them off and make them more appreciated.
Yeah, 100%. I could have watched them for hours, man. Just sat there and watched them for hours.
And the Black Mountain skinks are the same. They're unreal. They're a lot larger, but they're so cool. I sat there for about an hour just watching those guys run around. They're unreal.
Yeah, we'll get into that because the Black Mountain's crazy. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, Black Mountain's a crazy, crazy place. Let me tell you, there's lots of crazy folklores about that. I don't know if you've ever heard them, but that's one for the Google.
No, yowies.
No.
They're in Black Mountain like no tomorrow.
Jesus.
But I'll tell you what, I saw the nicest lace monitor I've ever seen at Black Mountain.
Really?
Expected it, but the yellows coming out of that thing was insane. But
wow,
we've definitely found that, sitting there with small skinks like that and just taking the time to sit there and appreciate them and immerse yourself in that environment, you'd be surprised at how close you can get to a lot of those animals and how close they will actually come to you, which is really entertaining for myself and Mark, being able to get so close to animals without necessarily having to catch them.
Right. Yeah. Hands off, take the pictures, kind of a deal. I do remember when we were in Northern Territory, just kind of watching. We were waiting for the sun to go down, and we were watching the skinks run around and do that stuff. We actually caught a pair like breeding, and we're taking and Rob's taking pictures. He's like, these could end up in a book somewhere. Like, this is like, this is the kind of stuff where like people probably come out and wait for eons just to get like this shot or to see this happen, and we're just happen to be sitting here waiting for sun to go down. So really cool just to be out. So, yeah. So what do we got here? So go ahead, Eric.
Nope, no. Good. Go ahead.
All right.
I was going to say, so like your trips and stuff, like what goes into, so like, I guess first, like, how do you pick your trips for your channel? Are you booking way out? I know with COVID and all, I'm sure everything's been kind of screwed up, right?
Yeah.
But
actually, we should be in the Kimberley right now looking for rough scale pythons.
Damn it!
God damn it! Oh my God!
So
we could have found each other out there. That was the point. We were supposed to be in the Kimberley. We could have. This could have been happening live.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sucks.
We could be there right now. It's crazy.
This is our second failed attempt, so third time.
Oh no.
Okay, so you're supposed to be in the Kimberley. Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, supposed to be there. But when it comes to planning trips, obviously because the channel's quite new, we do have a lot of ideas to take us to areas where we're going to be able to find some more unique animals. Mainly, that's kind of our goal at the moment. We're actually fully packed as we speak. I've got my bags on the other side of the laptop. We've got a 10-hour drive west after we do the podcast with you guys because we want to go out to Western New South Wales where we're actually allowed to go.
Nice.
We haven't really been able to get anywhere at the moment. We've only been able to stay within our local government areas.
Right.
But now in the area where myself and Mike live, we're out of lockdown and we can travel to areas that aren't in lockdown. And so, yeah, where we're going today, we're excited. We should hopefully find some really cool herps out on the way and once we get there as well. You know, a couple of target species for us is spotted black snakes, strap-snouted brown snakes, levis, knobtail geckos. You know, a lot of those animals that we're really hoping to try and see, that's for sure. But
nice.
In the future, we've definitely got a few in mind. That's for sure. We've got a couple of good ones in mind.
Big things planned for the future. COVID list.
We've been really fortunate that Top End Python, so Lisa and Darren, they help us out massively. They've been a massive help for us, and you know, because we're only two young fellas, we try and do what we can with what we have, and Lisa and Darren have really looked after us, and they've actually got planned a trip to go to Western Australia with them, to go looking for some reptiles over there at some point next year.
Nice.
So that's definitely one you can get excited for.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's another one where like you can go to Western Australia with them. Don't you dare go to the Kimberley without me. I'll kill you.
I want myself and Mark to be there and not try and sneak up there. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. It's. No, you cannot go to the land of rough scales without me. I mean, that is just no.
Yeah, Owen is a huge rough scale fan. That's his snake. You know.
If I could sell all my carpet, actually, I probably should, and just do rough scales, I would. So yeah.
Roughies have always been close to my heart too. The rough scale python that I have here at the moment, it's a first generation animal.
Wow.
Parents to the first wild caught roughies from John Weigel, which is I've always loved rough scale pythons.
Did you kill someone to get it? Like, how did you do that?
I actually worked for a number of years throughout high school at Snake Ranch, which at the time was
okay.
the largest facility at that time, and they had some of the originals there. And that's how I was lucky enough to secure a pair.
So I don't know if
for that.
So I'm gonna throw a plug out here real quick. But first of all, if we're gonna say this throughout the thing, you should definitely go over and check out their YouTube channel. It's Josh and Greeny's Wildlife Aussie Adventure or Aussie Wildlife Adventures, right? So that's. Oh, I got it right the first time. I'm sorry. See, I screwed it up. We just talked to Mark O'Shea on our Field Hurping podcast about the rough scale expedition. I don't know if you have it. No, it wasn't we. It was my other podcast.
I wasn't involved. But dear God,
it's called the Field Hurping podcast. But he tells the story of
going out there,
going on that expedition.
Yeah.
So
You guys got a 10-hour drive. Download it.
Yeah.
It'll be cool to listen to. Yeah, it's definitely
10 hours of nothing coming up, so we'll be on
there
that.
You go.
Yeah, man.
Download everything now before you leave the Wi-Fi. Yeah.
I promise you will not be disappointed. I promise. Yeah,
God.
That's cool, especially if you love rough scale pythons. But
roll over.
right on. Yeah, we were right before COVID hit, we were headed out to Western Australia, and we were actually 3 days away from leaving because I want to see Imbricata in the worst way. And it was all planned out. We had the whole itinerary, and then shut down. So it's been bittersweet.
Yeah.
Sounds like we've both got the same goals then, because Imbricata and Ruffy's my two last wild Aussie pythons to find. So
oh, really?
Those are the last two? Jesus.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Very cool.
Right.
Wait, so you found every other species of python?
Yeah. A species level, not subspecies. I haven't got Darwin's or jungle carpets, but
Okay. So you found Owen Pelly too?
Yeah,
very cool.
I wasn't the one that found it, but I was next to the guy who did. So
okay, all right. Well, yeah, so was I.
You were there.
We actually got an hatchling Owen Pelly.
No way.
Oh
wow!
70 centimeters long.
Wow. We met up with Gavin there, and we got to actually hold one of his babies.
Cats are born and breds. Yeah.
Yeah,
and then he
Very
took us
cool.
around the Darwin Botanical Gardens looking for Darwins, and it took him 5 seconds to find one. He's like, "It's up there." We're like, "What?" And it's like we were walking around here for like an hour. It's like it's right up there. It's like son of a bitch. Like So, yep.
It's a good spot, Matt.
Yeah. All right. Good point. That's why you did that, and we didn't. So, yeah. So.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's
awesome.
That's quite an accomplishment to
so
check them all off. Right.
As bad as we want to get to the Kimberly, you're like, I got 2 fucking more. Will you please just let me?
For the last 2 years, all I've been trying to do is get to WA to get Imbricata and Ruffies.
just let me do it.
Crab water. Actually, we actually did last year, the start of this year, sorry. We, me and another friend did South Australia, and we're trying to hope that WA opened up. So we did the Nullarbor. Pretty much like this is the closest we can find Imbricata, like the only place we can actually get to find Imbricata. And we got a road trip on the Nullarbor. And that just salt in the wound.
That's just not fair.
Oh damn.
That's my 10th roadkill Imbricata, or roughly 10 roadkill Imbricata before a live. I haven't got a live one yet.
Oh shit! Wow.
That's,
okay.
Like, isn't that what was it? Justin's missing something. Like I think he said like a shingleback or whatever. I forget what he said it was. Yeah. But Justin can't find something because he keeps finding them roadkill, and he's like, I swear to God, and he's been there like 5 times. So I forget what it was. It might be a shingleback. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
I feel sorry for Mark considering the last time we went to the Kimberleys. It took about 6 months of planning between myself and Mark, and we've got all this time off work booked, and we've been saving up for so long to get the car ready to go out to the Kimberley. We had the big, very big drive to get up there, and we went all the way up. We paid for our permits to get in there, and once we got up, we got right into the campground where we were going to start camping, and then one of the rangers, or actually one of the feral pest shooters, came and told us to turn around and go back out. And which during the point where we haven't had any reception, there's fire in the area, and then they wanted to do local pest shooting, and they told us to leave. And so we politely agreed, said, look, we will go, but we'll, it's a big drive in there. It took us all day to get into that spot. And
we got there like 10:30 at night.
10:30 at night.
We're supposed to go.
Oh, wow.
We're going to sleep tonight, and then we'll go the next morning. So as soon as he left, there was no sleeping.
Put the headlamps on. We have this many hours.
It was like that. We were like, all right, we've got 6 hours. Well, that's fine.
Nice.
No, I would not be okay with that. Especially, I mean, I understand you guys doing it and all that stuff, but like for us, it's like several plane rides and 24 hours of your life traveling. Like, no. They'd have to shoot me to get me off. Like, we are gonna leave.
Wow.
No, I will cause an international incident like right now. So, God.
So how long do you get? I mean, how long do you guys typically like? How long is your trips typically? Does it vary on where you're going, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What did we take? 5 days to get it took 5 full days of driving to get there.
And we're talking 14-hour drives each day.
Yeah.
Wow.
What did we do? Queensland one day. We drove through Queensland one day, the NT the next, WA, and then
right up into the Kimberley.
We're doing well over 1,000 k's a day.
Now, were you slowed down because obviously, if you saw something cool while you were
that's
driving,
what I was gonna say.
like I mean, like it was 5 days, 5 full Hurping days. You weren't just pedal to the metal as fast as you can, too. So
we saw some really cool stuff along the way.
There you go.
We'd we'll time it so that we're going through a good area on night, so that we're sort of covering ground and looking for reptiles at the same time. So that's
right.
Well, and that's how we can do. I think on the drive home we did like a 20-hour stint.
20-hour drive home, but we still found, we found Spencer's monitors, and
oh wow,
we're certainly finding some really cool stuff, and we're very good at just driving. We can just drive for days, but usually our trips, they can be. It depends on where we're going. It can be for a weekend. We're only going away for 4 days. It's often not. People would think a 10-hour drive for 4 days is probably a bit rushed, but it's pretty normal for myself and Mark. But we'll also go on ones up to 5 weeks. But we do work, so often and not a lot of that is depending on how much time we can get off. Unfortunately, because if had all the time off in the world, we'd be out there all the time.
You can't just bail on work. Yeah, something about bills getting paid and all that fun stuff. Yeah,
definitely.
Well, that's awesome. Cool. Okay, so I was going to ask, like, your kid. So, do you guys have your own truck? Do you rent a truck? Like, I mean, because obviously, if you're doing that much road driving, you kind of have to have like a pretty decent car, right?
Yeah, we have the holy grail of cars. We have mother and mothers. We love our cars so much. Mark's recently got a brand new troop carrier, and I have carrier as well, which is they're Land Cruiser troop carriers. So nice. These are cars that date back a fair while, and used to be used to carry the troops in and out. And they're big cars. You can fit a lot in them. We've got ours set up so we can sleep in it. We've got fridges in them. We've got drawers in them. We have got everything you kind of need, plus 2 fuel tanks. One 90-litre fuel tank and then a 180-litre fuel tank. So we can just drive for days without having to worry about where we need to fill up.
Wow.
Which is something that we're actually pretty excited and incorporating a little bit into our YouTube as well, because we have to do a lot of 4-wheel driving and trip planning to do these trips and getting into some really remote spots. And we can be getting into some pretty sticky situations at times. So we're quite fortunate to have cars that can get us into most places into Australia and also get us out of there, which is the big part. Because all cars can get you in the spots, but getting back out is the hard part.
Heck yeah. Wow. Yeah, I know Owen got his experience driving up in the Northern Territory on this little bit of road that was unpaved and just,
Oh, God, it was horrible. we had to go 2 miles an hour because otherwise we were going to just destroy our rental. So I'm like going, creeping, and I'm like, I'm trying not to go fast, but the entire time you just bouncing along, and then giant.
I think we booted them at one point.
At some point, yeah, but giant trucks like the size of tanks are just ripping down the road, and I'm like, cool. This is my fun part of driving. Yep.
So, have you had any close calls or crazy sticky situations that you come back now and you're like, okay, now we can laugh about it and not joke about it, but at the time it was a little crazy.
Infuriating. Yeah,
that same Kimberley trip that we tried to do, so I didn't have a Land Cruiser at the time. Now I just got that. I had like an older Hilux that I sort of decked out for that trip. I don't know if you guys know much about the Gibb River Road, but it's notoriously one of the worst roads in Australia. So sort of in hindsight, I should have slowed down, but we were pretty keen to get in there to get rough and knowing the line where we're like, we have to get there to find them tonight sort of thing, knowing that the park is going to be closed. So we probably should have slowed down a bit, but I ended up doing about $10,000 worth of damage to that car on that road.
Holy shit! Wow.
Destroyed my rear diff, went through 2 tires, two rear axles.
Jesus.
That was just from corrugation. Just destroyed the car.
Oh wow! Wow! Yeah. Holy crap!
Yeah, no, I mean,
would have been worth it if we got one roughy, but
yeah. Looking on the tail and be like totally worth it. Like I'll walk to get there.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
Oh, cool. All right. I thought we would talk maybe about your Cape York trip. Very, very jealous of that trip, and that is something definitely on the bucket list for sure. But tell us about it. What'd you see, and did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah.
Sort of between Josh and myself, you've done the Cape twice as well.
Yeah, I've been up to Cape York twice. I was lucky enough to spend a good couple of months up there by myself, living out of my car last year. So it's a place where myself and Mark have been lucky enough to spend some time.
Yeah,
I love how we're like,
you don't know how
man,
jealous I am of that.
Man, that's fucking awesome. He got to live out of his car. Like that is like only people like us would understand how awesome that is. Any other person, they're like, why? This guy is clearly in trouble. Like he is broke. Like
who's that weirdo living out of his car looking for snakes every night?
Thanks. Yeah, I am so happy.
Oh my goodness.
I always had a smile on my face, mate.
Oh man. Heck yeah. Wow. Okay. So living out of your car. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, whatever. It's the dream.
Waking up in the morning, walking out and finding green pythons right outside your car is
dude.
I mean, I don't mean to rub it in, but I can't.
That's all right. Rub it in, man. Rub it in.
That's what you got to do. It's what you got to do. I mean,
we'll have to take you guys when you come over. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. You can rub it in all you want, but I'm hoping to be drowning in Gila monsters in like a week and a half. So that's fine. That's fine. Like, go ahead.
We've got to sell
Yeah.
I'd still rather be in Australia. Sorry, Owen.
Help me, God damn it.
So, all right, Cape York.
Cape York. Yeah. Where do we start?
So my recent trip was fairly rushed. That was more get up there for a couple of days. And get some footage and stuff like that. I only had like a bit over a week off, so it was like a 4-day drive just to get there. But I only spent 2 nights up there.
Okay.
First night we didn't get any greens, but we didn't get in until like 11:30 at night. So I reckon just by timing it wasn't the best. But the next night we got 2 greens fairly easily.
Are they pretty easy to find up there? As far as
relatively easy. Most people that go up there to look for them do find them. I don't think I've only heard of one person not finding them.
Yeah, I think a lot of it does really depend on how close to the wet season you do go.
Gotcha.
I have heard of people getting up there and not finding them. And when I was up there last year, it was a lot of people find them road cruising. They were actually working on the roads when I was up there. So all the roads had a lot of trucks going on them, and there was lots of red dirt sprayed up the sides of all the plants right next to the road, which is often not where people will see a lot of them. So I had to put in a lot more hard yards to find mine and do a lot more walking trails. But yeah, they can, which I love doing anyway. But they, in the peaks of the dry period, and especially after a dry couple of years, they can certainly be a little bit more challenging to find. But for the most part, you've got a pretty good chance of getting one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So what was it like when you saw your first one?
Yeah.
Mind's blown. Yeah. I specifically remember it was right. I just finished having dinner on Chili Beach, and then I was on this walk for only about 5 minutes, and I've turned a corner, and directly in front of me was just this glowing green snake, perfect ambush position. And that was something that I've honestly dreamt about since I was about 5 years old. And I just like I didn't have any. I couldn't speak. I had no.
I know the feeling. Yes,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh man. Okay. What about when you found your first green tree?
Yeah, mine was a trip before. I think I was 19 at the time. I went up with mates that were going up already, and I flew up to Cairns and then went with them. And yeah, like the first night we got 2 within 20 minutes of being out at night.
Jesus.
Wow.
Like it was literally, we just walked from the campground we were staying at, walked up the road either side, and yeah, we got 2 pretty quickly.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Just seeing that glowing green snake, you can't sort of forget that image in your mind. It's just, nothing really compares to it. You can, even if they are relatively common, I don't care what it doesn't. You can't get enough of it.
It doesn't matter. I get excited finding garter snakes in my backyard. Why? It's a critter. It's in my backyard. Cool.
Yeah. It's funny. Like you guys, maybe you won't have the same perspective, but for us who have no wild pythons in the U.S., well, unless you count Florida, but
but we put them there. So yeah.
So it's not the same. But like when you see, like when I saw my first python was a carpet python, when I saw that gelatin carpet python, it was like, oh my God, that's a python. And it's wild.
It's supposed to be here.
This is where it lives. This is what it does. What is going on?
Wrong.
Like, just like freaking out because I can't believe there's a python there. Like, wow, it's crazy. So I can't imagine what it's like to see a green tree python, so one day.
Cape York is one of those places that I think you two will absolutely love. It's one of those untouched parts of Australia.
Nice.
So much more to discover there along the herpetological side of things. There's so many areas where people are yet to get into and even explore. And, that's me and Mark are only going to be about 2 hours away from the gateway to Cape York. That's where we'll be living. So we have got a lot of ideas and a lot of trips planned to find some really unique wildlife up there. But honestly, once you get up, you go through Lakeland, Lakefield, and you get into, you travel along the PDR, which is the Peninsula Development Road, and talking about you driving up in the NT with the bumpy roads.
Yeah,
you're going to love the PDR.
Worse. Okay, all right.
There is a lot of bouncy going on.
Oh, God.
Corrugation City, straight up that road. There are parts that are tarmac now, which does help.
Right.
And then you get into Iron Range. And Iron Range, just that drive in, because often you go through a lot of dry savanna habitat, pretty much directly through the center of the Cape, until then you turn off to go to Iron Range. And you see this big rainforest mountain range, and it is you just know you've hit the gold mine once you get there. And,
I mean, you're saying things like, and then Iron Range. I know that word. Like I know those things because I know there's things there because I know that's part of their names. Like it's.
Sorry, but and then the rest of the trip all the way to the very tip of Australia is fantastic as well. It's a really beautiful spot of the world.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So have you found any carpets up there? I guess I must ask that,
I mean, come on. This is
we are a carpet python lover podcast.
I mean, we have to do it. It's obligatory, contractually obligated.
Well, I've not found a single carpet in Cape York.
What the hell?
No.
I don't,
Scrubbies and green trees, right?
Many people that have found a lot of them up there. They're definitely there, but they're not as common as you'd think. I found a lot of carpets around Cairns region, jungles and coastals in the more southern areas. That's where I've been able to find a lot of my carpets.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they're usually, Scott Iper is always sending us pictures of carpets.
Look at
on
this
his
crap
porch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his roof. It's just like,
Around the home.
We get diamonds. We're on the northern sort of boundary diamonds here. So, we get, like, my parents are on property and they've got diamonds popping up in their place all the time. When I was growing up, a diamond for years hanging around.
Well, that's the thing is, and that's hilarious. You're like, these things just pop up. Like here, a diamond python is still almost considered a Cadillac of pythons here. So you're like, hey, walk over them. Like, what the? Yeah. So
you know it's coming into spring. Sorry, you used to know it's coming into spring where you just get all your high school mates calling you up and texting you saying, "There's a snake at my house. Can you come and move?" And so nearly every day at the start of spring, I'd be over at someone's house removing a diamond python.
Oh, wow.
What the hell was it recently that diamond ended up in like a Walmart or something like that where they're like, it was coming down off of. Yeah. It was like, oh shit! I'm like, grab it, put it in the cart.
Yeah.
Here, so I have a price tag on it.
Scan this one, thank you.
Scan this. Yep, this is. I'll take this. Yeah.
So since you guys are right in that range of the northern range of the diamonds, right, where the intergrade zone or whatever, like tell us, like, what's your experience with what they look like, or or is it
different?
I don't know, because we have no perception of that, I guess. So maybe we can live through you vicariously.
Yeah, they do vary. I'd say it's obviously still a pretty touchy subject. What they are, obviously, is that intergrade zone.
Sure.
My personal experience, I find where I am around Taree on the mid coast, and sort of anywhere from here south, they're more. They look like diamonds. They don't.
Okay.
Coasters. They're diamonds.
Okay.
A bit funny markings. Sometimes they get a bit of a stripe and stuff like that, but for the most part, they look like diamonds.
And I've actually grown up on the Central Coast, which is what you guys would refer back to as the Gosford diamond pythons. Everybody, you hear a Gosford diamond and you picture a bright yellow diamond.
Total bullshit, right?
I grew up on the Central Coast, and let me tell you, I've certainly found my fair share of beautiful high yellow diamonds with those classic little rosettes. But in those areas too, I've found animals that are nearly almost completely jet black. I've found ones with striping. I've found ones with big blotches, little blotches. Some people say it's that classic horseshoe at the back of their head there. If it's unbroken and it doesn't keep going down the neck, it's a pure diamond. Mate, I've had ones with stripes going all the way down, to their vent.
I love it.
I love how they keep trying to make the rules, and then it's like, well, this one defies the rules. It's like, all right, well,
I often bust on my American counterparts here because we'll have this idea that to your point, right, Gosford diamond, and it's like, oh, if it doesn't look exactly like this one that we have in America, this one snake that made it to America, then it's in a book. I call bullshit on you. And it's like, well, wait, I found it in my yard. I don't care. It's bullshit.
I live
what
here.
What are you doing?
This is where, shut up. With your sense making.
One tiny pocket of bushland nature reserve in Gosford itself, right? And then two of the most ugliest looking diamonds I've ever seen are poured out of there.
No, that's great.
That's where all
everybody's
those are the only pure ones. Yep.
I'm just blowing everyone's mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I love it, man.
Talk about diamonds and intergrades, and your hands start to stand, and you go, "Oh no."
Is that a touchy subject in Australia too?
It can be. It really can be. I've certainly had a couple of debates about it over the years, and only because I've been fortunate enough to probably found close to over 100 diamond pythons on the Central Coast, and up at Mark's house, it's 2.5, 3 hours north of where I've grown up. People do say that those intergrades live and usually start. People often will say they start around Newcastle and work their way up. But I lived in Port Macquarie, which is an hour north of here for a short period of time, and I found diamonds up there that looked identical to the ones that I found down on the Central Coast. So I think there is a lot of variability. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, it always fascinates me that people will talk about how variable carpet pythons are when they breed, but expect them to look exactly the same in the wild.
In the wild,
that the variability is not to happen in the wild. It's just like, okay, all right, well, all right, fair enough.
One area that you can have a bit of an idea just by looking at them is diamonds on the southern part of their range. You can usually pick them from a photo pretty quickly because they're a lot more darker. They do often or not have those tiny little neat rosettes that can also be white sometimes instead of yellow. You can usually pick a southern diamond python. But, they can vary so much in the northern area of their range, that's for sure.
Right.
And also we're trying to gauge animals that have been reproduced in captivity many generations to their wild counterparts, and it's to say that we don't influence how they look just by picking out the really nice ones of the clutch and breeding these animals together is just stupid. So
at a point in time there, I had close to 60 diamond pythons. I've been breeding them. I've been breeding them for years, and honestly, I'm not. I reckon some of the nicest diamonds in Australia, I must say, really beautiful yellow diamonds. Some of them with literally next to no black at all.
Oh wow!
Just the variability that you'd find in a single clutch. You could pair the two nicest high yellow animals together, perfect, rosettes, and you'd still get some hatchlings come out with a bit of striping, or with bigger rosettes than the other. I've had some come out with horseshoe patterns all down their ventral scales. Like it's very weird. They even a singular clutch, you can get so much variability.
Right. What's the best time of year to find them? Is it the spring when they would be coming out of like the cool down?
It depends where you live. Some areas down on the Central Coast where I live, herping down there is a lot harder than what it used to be. So you have to kind of be out on the right kind of nights. And usually for me, I've found that around spring, Christmas time I've always been quite productive. But I know Mark's probably got other experiences up here.
I find them all year round here. I've seen them on 16-degree days when it's overcast and drizzling rain crossing roads. Then they're obviously less common in winter, but they're certainly still active. And keeping mine outside, I see that all the time. In the middle of winter, it'll be a raining day, and mine will be sitting out in the rain. They just don't.
Wow. That's awesome. Cool. All right. Go ahead.
Obviously, spring to summer, warm nights, overcast, humid nights, typical herping nights. Obviously, better chance.
Okay. That's on the bucket list for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you guys are definitely camping out at these places that you're going to do in herping. You're not like Airbnbs, hotels. This is like complete roughing it for this kind of stuff.
Swag on the side of the road is usually what we do, mate. Swag on the side of the road. We rough it as much as we can. We don't have the money for the accommodation. That's the thing. We spend all our money on fuel. I swear.
Makes sense.
Savings I have given to the fuel stations.
Right.
Makes sense.
And that delicious ice break coffee in the
Stop it.
Oh my goodness.
I can't live without it. All right. Well, you're not gonna. We have to go back to Australia just for that.
Yeah, you can't get it outside of Australia. We went to the one gas station and we had like handfuls of this stuff. They're like,
arms full of it. This will keep us alive while herping.
Literally, the bars is just full of iced coffee and V cans.
Done.
There you go.
Done. Perfect.
Go ahead, Owen.
I'm saying, like, do you guys have designated spots, or do you just pick out a side of the road kind of thing to chill, or do you have designated camping areas?
No, it's whenever we're too exhausted.
Tired, I hear. Yeah.
just drive off the road somewhere here out of people's way. We try and obviously we're in specific areas, walking and stuff. We'll stay in national park campgrounds and things like that. But if we're road cruising, it could be anywhere.
We sleep in there, and you think it's a really quiet spot because you pull up there at 1 o'clock in the middle of the night in the middle of nowhere. Then you wake up and it's car city, and you're like, hey,
traffic everywhere. Oh,
you come out of your swag and your undies, and you're like, oh, yeah, there's people here.
I remember we're on our way west, and the same way, it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. It was like dead quiet. I was like, oh, this looks good enough, and just pulled up off the side of the road. And I thought we were a fair way off the road. I was pretty exhausted at the time, and about half an hour later, I hear this road train coming, and I just could have sworn it was going.
Oh wow!
Yeah, road trains are not fun.
Oh, big. I remember being out looking for inland taipans, and we did just put our swags out on the side of the road. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and I got up and I shined the head torch down on the ground, and I kid you not, you could barely see the ground because there was that many centipedes everywhere. I just sort of saw that, and I was like, oh, I think I might get into bed.
I'm going to be...
I'm going to zip this up real tight and stay here another night.
That was when
we were
in Langy, and because this guy lost his phone on the top of the mountain and had to go back up and get it. So we're looking all around. So I actually get down on the pavement to look under the car. And as I'm looking, I got my head on the ground. This centipede just comes walking by, like kicking its head like this. I'm like, all right, we're done. It's not under there. Like, even if it is, it's gone now. Like that's forever. That centipedes have it. It's theirs now. So yeah, but that's just awesome. So on your trips, obviously something to be a little bit concerned about is crocs. Got any kind of close calls or come into really good contact with the croc?
Let me put this into context a little bit, Owen. They're swimming in like some of these,
and that's insane. But all right,
like freshwater. I don't know what you call it, ponds, lakes, streams.
Every puddle has a crocodile in it. All right, like that's what I've learned of Australia. There's a saltwater crocodile in every body of water. So
that's what we like to tell the tourists.
They stay out of the good parts. Yeah.
When it may sound a little risky and sketchy, but we, I've been fortunate enough to work with crocodiles for quite a few years and have a fairly good understanding of them. And myself and Mark have been in areas where, we've been able to see saltwater crocodiles in Queensland, Northern Territory and Western Australia. And the areas where we do swim, we are smart about it. And we make sure that, we can have a 99% idea chance that there's no crocs in there. We have been in some areas where we have dived thinking that it should be pretty safe, and then we've come out to locals telling us that there's usually about 5 or 6 they pull out of that spot every year.
Oh my god!
we went for a dive off the back of a place where we were staying, and
we're actually trying to dive with freshwater crocodiles.
Yeah, there was freshwater crocodiles everywhere, which is fine. They're not really going to give you a nip unless you get too close, and it did feel a little bit eerie. But the numbers of salties in Queensland, if you're referring to the part where Mark was diving in Iron Range, the numbers aren't as high as the population in Northern Territory. And I'm not saying that they're not there. There's certainly a lot of them about, but in little sections of creek where Mark was, you can tell that there's some rocks on one part which would be a bit of a struggle for a large crocodile to bother getting into.
You'd see him coming, if he had to come over a bunch of rocks. Yeah.
Sort of see in a lot of I'll never swim in a dirty water pool or creek where there could be crocodiles. We'll only do it if it's clear water. You can have a bit of an idea. During the wet season, straight after the wet season is probably your most dangerous time to maybe take that risk because, the water levels rise and crocs can push up into a lot more of those smaller creeks and pockets of water. But when it comes to the end of the dry season, mid-dry season, when all that water's dropped back down and the crocs have, usually made their way back, you can have a fairly decent idea of where it could be okay to dive. And I'm definitely not saying that people should do that. Myself and Mark have a lot of ideas of what to look out for, lots of environmental factors that we take into account when we do it. But yeah, it certainly gets heartbeat racing.
So you let Mark go in first, and then if he makes it, then you'll join.
Exactly right.
You're good
for everything.
Yeah.
Well, I asked that question because I think for a lot of us in outside of Australia, our perception of those type of things are like, because if you're watching it on, they're making it out to be something that it's not, and I had this realization when we were on the trip in West Texas and we ran across a black bear on our trail, and everything that's ever told me in my life and everything I've ever watched about bears is that that's bad when it's with a cub, and it was with a cub, and it was like, oh shit, I'm gonna die from a bear. Like, it's gonna eat me. My nightmares have come true.
I always knew it'd be a bear.
I started to think like it's no different than the perception that a lot of people have about, say, snakes, right? It's like they're afraid of what they don't know, and they're only going by what they see maybe on TV that's sensationalized, and like snake attack and this kind of stuff. And I think the idea that maybe most of the time, if you're not causing the animal any no matter what kind of animal it is, any kind of reason to sort of, think that you're on the menu or you're careful about what you're doing or whatever, like your sensational idea of what they are is probably not the reality, if that makes sense,
Yeah, most definitely.
There's definitely a lot of inspiration behind our YouTube channel as well. As we can have those close encounters with things and show people that they're not afraid of like the media makes them out to be. So
and that has been a massive point for myself and Mike. A lot of YouTube channels and shows and stuff. Whenever a snake encountered, it's all, whoa, how you going?
Camera's doing this.
Very much there's a lot going on, and we're quite excited just to take a little step back and just show the animal for what it is, and so people can get a bit of a greater understanding and can see that this snake is just sitting there quite peacefully and letting these blokes film it, and get that realization that not every reptile does want to hurt you.
For example, like the last episode I just put up was the eastern brown snake I found at work. That was just filming on my phone 30 centimeters away from it, just watching it as it's cruising past. And every other one's second most venomous snake in the world. You're going to make out that it's so dangerous. It's like we just put in that. We just show it doing what it's doing. It's just cruising past. It's not interested in us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that black bear story, because when I was in Arizona looking for rattlesnakes, we got there, and the first night I wanted to go find rock rattlers. So we're up in the mountains, and we didn't have to worry about any land predators over here. That's not something
I know.
I had to worry about in the slightest. And we're walking up in these mountains, and myself and my mate have kind of come around, and I've just seen this really big scat and a couple of bones here and there, and I just realised, I'm like, I wonder if you get bears and cougars up here. And my mate looks at me and goes, oh shit, I think they wonderful man who was there very much watching our back, and
and that's the funny thing is we go on that, we were on that trail that he found the black bear on the year before, and they got signs all over the place like beware of bears and mountain lions, and you're like, yeah, whatever, like somebody saw one once, and then he's like, dude, it was right there. Oh shit, the sign was real this time, like it actually happened, like so. We don't ever think about it either until it's too late. So but it's funny because you mentioned about that they just do what they really kind of want to. I remember we found a Western Diamondback in Texas, and we pulled it off the road, set it down, took a ton of pictures, and it was just staring at us all coiled up, and then it didn't do anything, and then we were walking away, and that's when it started to like rattle and actually stand up, and we're like, oh, we all came back to take pictures of it. So it's like it literally, like for about an hour it was just like whatever, and then we were leaving, and then it's like, all right, get the hell out of here. So
right. In fairness, it was pretty cold, so maybe it warmed up by the time.
It took that long for it to just finally decide that it had enough of us. So
I think a lot of it's going to be exciting. I think we're both excited to see how close we can get to animals without disturbing them. Coming on our next few trips, usually a lot of the classic kind of Hurping in Australia is, in the car, there's a snake across the road, run out, grab it, fantastic. Yeah, I think we're excited to take that step back and see where it goes when it goes off that road, and then follow that. That's the stuff that we're pretty excited for.
Yeah, you don't realize how much we, at least for me and watching your videos, how much I can learn just by looking at the environment of, of the reptiles, and the fact that you're actually just filming what they do, is even that much better, because now you're actually seeing it in situ, what it does, and how it reacts, to its environment. It's just priceless, I mean, at least for me, That
was a lot of inspiration on the channel as well. So you see a lot of other YouTubers out there, and, I'm not trying to go at anyone, but most people on YouTube are grabbing stuff, talking about them, they're handling it in front of the camera. That they can do that. That doesn't faze me. But it's sort of like no one was really doing what we're doing. We're sitting back trying to get that nice clear footage of the animal just doing its own thing. It's so it's like, well, there's a hole there to fill. Let's try and get into that niche. So
much footage of a lot of our Australian reptiles is staged. With either wild caught animals and placed in a nice area where it looks scenic, or they're captive animals and they're placed there as well. And people like myself and Mark who have been to these areas and no, you didn't find that there. Like,
yeah. What was the thing where we're like, we thought that these pythons hang out in these the mangrove root trees or whatever.
Oh yeah,
I forget what it was, but we're like, oh, these things love the mangrove trees. Like, no, that's just where they put them for the pictures because they get all tangled in the roots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they don't give a crap about
them. Are you talking about the buttress roots of the trees?
Yeah, like buttress roots. Yeah. They just shove them all in there because they get all tangled in it. You can take a bunch of pictures and then you leave. So
there's nowhere for it to go. So it's
they don't go in there.
Definitely, and that's because. That's something we're excited to show, the real side of herping and where we are actually finding things, because a lot of our Australian reptiles live in places where there's not really much, there's soil, and there's areas where it's dirt and sand, and that's pretty much it. So
that's it.
We just try to, and during this COVID period of time, I've never really taken to YouTube to get my wildlife fix or to get that fix of seeing outdoors and stuff, because we've always just gone out and done it ourselves. But, being stuck, I haven't been able to, and I've actually gravitated to YouTube to watch that kind of stuff and seeing different channels, overseas and how they do it. And, that's myself and Mark, discussing it every single night with each other on the phone for about 2 hours. We've kind of got a pretty good idea of what we want to try and bring to the table.
So when you go to, do you have a, for your channel, do you have if you're doing a video and a trip, do you have specific things that you want to film, or is it just sort of inspiration right there on the cuff? Is it a mix of both?
We've got like most herping trips, you've got your specific targets that you really want to try and focus on. But
but a lot of it is just in the moment. A lot of it is just going to be because it's one of those things you can never tell what you're going to find when you're out there. Right. So we do, like Mark said, we have our target species, and we have our areas where we know where we want to be by what times to look for certain animals. But for whatever happens from then on, a lot of it's just in the moment what happens. And let me tell you, there's always some funny moments. One of us is always doing something silly or hurting themselves or losing something, or there's always something going on. Yeah.
Right.
This sounds horribly familiar. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I love the the drone shots that you guys are getting. I mean, awesome. I wish that I would have thought about that. To see over Kakadu or you know what I mean?
But that we would have that. Oh, look, the drone's going up towards Kakadu, and they're you hit a tree and then fall and be like, well, I got to go find that now. Come on, it's us. It would not go well.
Just the environment alone, to me, Australia is just I don't know if it's just because it's so different than what we're used to or whatever, but I don't know, it just speaks to me. And when I see shots like that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the good stuff, oh yeah.
That's the money shot.
yeah.
That was why that's in the drones is even for our own sake. Most places you go, you can't really get a grasp of what the whole habitat looks like. You just send the drone up, and you can get an awesome scope of figure out specific habitats you want to be looking for, and it's just a cool overview to look back at and say, yeah, this is that area. There's a whole new perspective on it.
And we've been trying to find that fine line of showing those animals and those scenic shots and stuff and talking, because we do know that a lot of our following at the moment is a lot of reptile people and a lot of herpers and stuff like that. So we don't want to be on there trying to talk about that animal that whole single time that it's there. We're still very new at it, so we're trying to find that fine line where people can happily jump on and just look at some really cool animals in some really cool places, and then input about that animal's situation or how we found it, or what we've noticed of that individual doing at that point in time.
Yeah, one of the things that I do appreciate about what you guys are doing is you're not necessarily just focused on reptiles, right? Because, when you're going in those creeks and stuff, you're looking at some of the fish, and wasn't there like a dragon of some sort, like sleeping down in the water?
Oh, the Eastern Water Dragon. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It was just asleep on the bottom of the creek. I don't know how long it had been there for.
It was just nuts. But like, one of the things that I'm a little disappointed with myself is like when I went to Australia the 2 times, it was sort of like I was so focused on reptiles. Owen sort of steered me the next time because Owen's he's a former mammal guy.
Keeper.
Keeper.
I was a former Australian mammal keeper, and then that brought me into Australian reptiles because you can't take the kangaroos out of the zoo. They frown on that. So that was my only way to keep it going. So I think I was so tired. Like it was one of those days where I just started rambling about here are kangaroo facts, and I just kept going.
Yeah.
And I think about an hour in, they're like, he's still talking. So it was.
But over the past,
Mark to the pub.
There you go.
We get a beer in our hand. It's so reptiles, everybody. It's we're talking about.
Well, that's the problem is, and that's what I love about it is that like when we sat down and we had dinner with Gavin, and Gavin Bedford's sitting across from you, and you're like, I don't know what to say, and then you just start talking reptiles. You're like, you totally forget who this guy is that you just met him like 5 minutes ago, and you're just talking shop about olive pythons. He's picking our friend Keith does Boland's pythons. So he was picking his brain about Boland's pythons, and then we're picking his brain about Owen Pelly pythons and all this stuff. So it's like a universal language between reptile nerds. It's like, all right, we're all a little nervous. So what does everybody keep, and how do you keep it? And that's how it goes.
Hi, my name is Eric.
My name's Eric. Who's got rough scales? Raise your hand. And that's just how it fits in. So it's really cool with that kind of stuff. But Eric,
you guys head over here. Me and Mark are super keen to take you guys up to Cape York.
Oh yeah.
Lock that in.
That's the problem. Like, is that we got people from the U.S. that want to come with us, and then we got a bunch of people in Australia who'd be like, "We'll meet up with you." It's like, damn, it's gonna be like a party bus out Hurping at this point. Sheer God. So
trip carriers. Fit them all.
Hey, we've got trip carriers, mate. We can take everybody.
There you go. Done. Perfect.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Right on. So I just, I don't know. I like the way that your videos are sort of put together, and as far as that it is, reptile focused, right? Obviously you're in Australia. There's a lot of reptiles that are cool down there, but I have recently sort of pushed myself out of my, strictly Australian python box and started working with some monitors and some geckos. So when you found that
legs now, I don't know what to do with it.
You found the northern velvet geckos.
Oh,
man.
Wow.
The gecko speak.
Wow.
But
we found one gecko by complete freaking accident. It was just what the hell was it? The Chaffurus, because he thought he saw a blackhead, and we were walking by and we were just shining lamps because we were all bitching about how this stick that he saw kind of looked like a blackhead, and then we saw the gecko, and we're like, all right, you're off the hook, like you're good now. But still, the velvet geckos are awesome.
Yeah, they are.
Most definitely. Yeah, you were lucky enough to spot that.
Where do you find those guys at?
Yeah, how'd you do that?
2 of those were just road cruising just off the side of the road. We'll do walk around and stuff and eye shine for them. Geckos are pretty easy to find by the most part, especially with eye shining. You can get them from a fair distance that way, and they're pretty tolerant to most conditions. They'll be out in pretty cold conditions. That's actually one of our main targets this trip that we're just about to do in a couple of hours. We're mainly focusing on geckos because we looked at the weather forecast and we're like, it's cold, fairly cold nights. We can't really rely on a lot of other species to be out. Like, well, geckos will still be out even in fairly cold conditions, so we may as well target them while we've got the opportunity.
Hell, man, I'm keen to watch the gecko video.
Yeah, that
for
was
sure.
it.
Because
There's we're trying to find levis in this one particular spot in Yukon Nature Reserve. It's about 200 kilometers south of Cobar, in the middle of sort of desert country. There's nothing out there. Last time I was there for about 3 days and never saw another person. But it's been quite a productive spot for levis. So there was one time I went there in fairly humid conditions, and we stopped counting at 100 levis in a couple of hours.
Just forget it.
And Mark says this, right? And I have never seen a levis, and I have been in their distribution so many times. It's not funny. I spent countless nights walking, road cruising. We've gone for them that many times, and I've still never found one. It's one of those species that you guys were talking about before that no matter how many times you go for, they're fairly common. I've just never seen one. So
yeah.
I'm hoping we get one.
Yeah.
Every herper has that. Like our friend Nipper, who he herps a lot in Europe and things like that. He's got one animal that he's like, he can never find it, but then he goes on like Instagram and somebody like walking off a plane is like, what the hell is this animal? He's like, are you kidding me? Like it is like that. That's just how it goes. So I think everybody's got that one animal. Like I have never seen a copperhead in where we're at.
what?
Yeah.
I know. You know this. You keep going without me places. Like he keeps going places, and he's like, "Dude, I'm tripping over copperheads." I'm like, "God damn it!" And then I go, and then I meet them after I'm done with work. I'm like, "Can't find any copperheads." It's like Jesus. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you found that. I think it was on the Cape York trip. You found the prickly knobtail, which was bad. That was cool, man.
Yeah,
Holy
cool.
shit, that was a cool. That was a cool one.
I've seen photos of like color forms like that from that Chillago region that you guys are saying. I've seen photos of them from there. I've never seen any photos from Cape York ones before. I completely wasn't expecting it. That was just on the drive in late at night, and we sort of went through this random sort of rocky patch. I was like, oh, that's a big gecko. I was like, oh, wow,
What the hell is that?
Like, that thing's stunning. I was looking at it like, this bright blue eye on it, and the bands on it. That was easily the nicest example of that.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Is the eye shine big on geckos and stuff like that? Because I mean, we kept getting tripped up by these little spiders that have like horrible bright eye shine. That's obvious with a gecko.
You got to sort of train yourself to look like a duller eye shine compared to the spiders. And once you've done it a few times, you sort of start picking up fairly quickly. And obviously, bigger the gecko, the bigger the eye shine. So
right,
gauge the size of it from that as well. Bigger geckos like knobtails, they're fairly easy to eye shine because of their size.
Right. Now, are you finding them walking across the road, or is it typically? Do you find? I guess I should say typically knobtails. Are they road cruising, or are you seeing them like on the side of the road?
I've seen a fair mixture. I've seen that Asper was road cruising.
Right.
But if we're in a good habitat area, I'll get out and walk and eye shine, and normally you can pick them up. Even sometimes we'll just drive really slowly in good habitat, and especially if there's a couple of us, one will be out the car window, eye shining, out into the distance, and you sort of pick them up that way as well. So it just varies. It depends what we're sort of targeting. Okay,
so here's the field herping question.
Yep.
When you're field herping, you're shining the light outside the car. You're driving along, you're going 20 miles an hour, maybe, looking at the side. What's the word you say?
Yeah, you have to have a word.
When you find a reptile, are you saying snake? Stop. What's your word?
Are you just screaming your head off?
There, we couldn't get straight on the word.
I'm usually like stop or
stop.
Yeah. That's the problem and we had some miscommunication because we were yelling at Fog Dam, and one of our friends jumped out of the car because he thought it was a snake. It was because we were yelling because there was a water buffalo. So it was one of those things where it's like you need to. It's like, so we're like, after that, we're like, all right, we need a system. Like you yell for this, you yell for that. That's done. If it's next time we see a water buffalo, the word is water buffalo. Like that's what you need to yell. So yeah.
We had a funny situation. We were in South Australia looking for inland taipans, and because it's such a vast plain off the side of the road, we had actually had two people on the roof of the car looking. It's just something on a fire advantage. And one of them yelled out, and like you're just on edge. Like, I look really in Taipans, you're just on edge. You're so focused in that zone. I was driving, and one of them's yelled out, so I just slammed the brakes on. One mate's rolled off the front of the car. Oh, no. I get out, like, where's it? It's like, oh no, I just dropped my hat.
Oh man. Oh, that's great.
Should have been hot tongue tighter, I reckon.
Yeah.
Oh,
just forget the hat. Jesus.
Wow. Oh yeah.
We've got better things to look for.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Wow.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Okay. So I the other gecko that really sort of took me was the I guess you were up in I think it was the Black Mountains, right? Where it was the ringtail geckos, or no, that was in Cooktown, or is that in the same place? And I'm being dumb.
Yeah, they're Cooktown ringtail geckos, my species name, but yeah, that was around Black Mountain.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, that place. Holy hell. That's pretty cool. Tell us about that.
It's an amazing spot where there's nothing like it. You come through, just kind of normal Cooktown habitat, and then it's just boom, boulders and boulders of just these big black rocks. It's a really a magical place.
Yeah, it's an unreal habitat.
Is it hard to traverse across that habitat?
Yeah,
it can be really hard, especially at nighttime. And a lot of those holes, mate, they just disappear and they just go down. And I know there's been many of people that have gone into Black Mountain and have never come out again.
Wow.
Holy shit. Okay.
There's stories of, a group of up to 100 people went in there at one period of time, and not a single one of them came out again. It's the traditional Aboriginal owners of that area. It's a bit of a sacred no-go zone for them.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They don't mind so much about people going there that I believe, but whenever I'm there, I'm always get real superstitious about that stuff. So I tend to not go too far up the mountain.
Okay.
My body limited me from going too far.
Yeah, it can. It's strange when you're there at night. You're going through, I don't know, jungle, or you're going through, remember when we were climbing that mountain? I can't remember exactly where it was, Owen, but when we were in Northern Territory and we were climbing that mountain in the middle of the night, like you never think twice about being. I guess my guard is down because, like you said earlier, when we're in the U.S. or North America, you have to worry about large predators coming along and making dinner out of you, whereas like you don't really have that.
Small ones, yeah,
the ones that that people are scared of, we're looking for. So it's kind of like you're welcoming the thing, but the eerie factor of that, I don't know. It kind of sounds cool and crazy at the same time. So
and also. We went to the Crocosaurus Cove and we saw the Death Adder that they had on display, and they had in its tank like some stuff that I swear to God I was walking through earlier that day, like
leaf litter, right?
Leaf litter and stuff like that, just so it blends in. I'm like, oh, like okay, like I was walking through this without a care in the world. Yeah, there are Death Adders in there. Like okay, so there's that whole part of it too, where we're not thinking about the small little things because, usually ours is like a cougar. So
I don't know how we haven't been bitten by Death Adders, that's for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know how I did.
We're wearing, thongs or flip-flops or whatever you want to call them. I know you guys don't call them thongs over there. It's completely different.
Yeah, a little bit.
Imagine how that went down when I first came over. We're always walking around wearing flip-flops and, mate, let me tell you, there's been some times when some pretty thick.
So you're herping in flip-flops? Like, oh man, you and Matt Somerville.
Yeah.
Matt's a legend.
Oh, that's great.
I'm doing it wrong. I'm wearing like boots. What's wrong with me? Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you're not finding anything. So how big is the area of like Black Mountain? Is that a huge area, Black Mountain?
It does. It definitely stretches over a couple of hectares, I'd like to think.
Okay.
It is a big mountain.
Yeah.
It's not exactly high. It's not a super high mountain.
Right.
It does the boulders and the canyons, expand quite quite a circumference and depth as well. Not really anyone knows how far they go down.
Jesus.
Yeah. You don't want to find out either, right?
Yeah, no.
There's just big boulders, and you can walk underneath them and follow little cave tunnels, and then you get lost. And it'll get to the point, and you've turned a corner, and it's pitch black, and you can't see any light coming from above. And it's one of those areas where it can be rather sketchy. And I did that the first time I was ever there. I kind of followed in this little tunnel, and I was there. And I've sort of paused for a second, and right next to my face, there was a crack in the rock, and I've just heard this big hissing, like huffing, puffing sound, and I was like, "Oh, great! There's a big scrubby here, just about to
rip your face off." Yeah,
yeah, and that was that lace monitor that I actually saw. I'd woken him up in the night, and he was fast asleep, just very grumpy that I'd woken him up, just huffing and puffing away, and I feel that was kind of that snap saying, yeah, maybe I should get out of here.
Turn around.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll get out.
Yep.
That's cool. Monitors. Oh, have you seen Parentes? Oh, that's another dream of mine. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Josh and I got our first Parenti together out near Windora. We were looking for inlands out there, and we're driving along, and you can just see this big shape out in the distance of the plane because there's nothing else out there. I was like, that looks like a log, but there's no logs out here. So we pulled up and ran over to it, and what was it, about 6 foot long?
Oh yeah, it's a big Parenti.
And we were creeping up to it to get our photos of it, slowly, sort of stealthy, sneaking up, and as we're getting closer, he just starts standing up taller and taller instead of trying to bolt, and he ended up just sitting up in front of us. We were only a couple of feet away from it. It wasn't worried by us.
Yeah, it didn't have a care in the world. It was funny that when we saw it, we were so excited. That stretch of road is single lane only. And so we stopped the car, and we're all so excited. We all ran out of the car and ran over to the lizard and left the car in the middle of the road. so we're about 100 meters into the middle of this field with nothing. And we're taking photos of this Parenti. And we've turned back, and in the distance, we see this road train hawking it down this hill. And you've never seen me run so fast. I was legged into this car, and I reckon I got the car off the road within 3 minutes of that truck probably hitting it, to be honest.
Oh God. Shit.
We'll always remember our first Parenti, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent.
It's good when we had the groups, because Keith was driving and we'd all bail out of the car, and then he'd get it at least off of the road. But I think once or twice, like, everybody's out of the car, we're like, somebody go put the car in park. Like, somebody just go and get it. Like, yeah, we're counting and everybody's out here. Who's in there? You're like, yeah, that's.
Yeah, so awesome. Typically, do they stand their ground, the Parentis, or are they taken off? Or just,
I think if you're a 6 foot Parenti, you don't really. I don't think you're really threatened care by a lot. You don't give a shit. Like, I think you're a big ass lizard. So yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Well, I'm going to ask the guys that know.
Shut up.
The bigger ones are a lot more. Going to stand their ground, and depending where they are, if you find them up near the rocky outcrops, if they know they've got a quick escape route, often they'll duck straight into a cave or a rock hole or something like that. But if you catch them out in the middle of nowhere, there's a fair few of our Aussie Vranid species that will certainly stand their ground. I'm sure you guys have seen the classic photos of Panoptes as well. They will step right up and make themselves look impressive, and Spencer's much the same. And I found a juvenile Parenti once, which is absolutely amazing, and that thing was gone. Quick in the blink.
There it is.
I saw it for a few seconds, and I admired it, and then it was no longer there.
Wow.
It just disappeared.
That's excellent.
Jesus.
That's cool. That's definitely that's another one that's on the dream list for sure, is a Parenti. There's just something about their pattern and their, I don't know, they're just so impressed. Komodo dragons, bullshit. Who cares about Komodo
They're all
dragons?
One color. Yeah. But I also think because Parentis are also still so rare in U.S. zoos, collections, and things like that it's like, I'd never actually seen a Parenti in person until we went to Australia. So there's also that added level to it, is that they're not here. I think we have more lace monitors running around here than we do perennies. So, yeah.
It's still not overly popular in the Australian collections. They still fetch a fair price, and not many people breed them. But they've been on the list for a while. I think Josh included, and eventually. But the same, they're not that established in captivity here either.
They can be quite difficult, if you don't have the room to house.
I'm going to say it's quite a commitment.
Not many people can give them that kind of requirement. So that's why we've held off for now up until when we do move, and we can give them something that is suitable. And I do think that's why a lot of people don't keep them, because they know that you're not actually able to give that animal its requirements.
Yeah, they're always going to be a limited market. There's only certain people that can handle them, house them.
Sure.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'll just admire them in the wild for sure, or in a zoo or something like that, or in somebody else's collection. But one of my favorites for sure. I don't know. There's something about them, but you're right. So how are you guys going to? I mean, I know you talked about like when you guys move up to Cairns, like having your reptiles outside and stuff. Have you thought about how you're going to, or maybe it's not a big deal, house something if you're going to have something like perenny, which is more of a dry environment, right? How are you going to accommodate that? Like, do you have
where you're at
ideas on how you do dig
I've got a fair idea. I'm going to obviously really good ventilation in the enclosure. I'll dig out the substrate and have like a drainage layer, so that if it does get water in there, the standing substrate will drain straight to that drainage layer, keep the moisture out of the substrate. Probably polycarbonate roofing, so that the whole enclosure can be reasonably dry when we do get high periods of rain up there, but still let sun as well.
Right.
We've got fair ideas. It'll be a bit of experimenting as well, but I'm fairly confident that we wouldn't have any issues with them out there.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I'll stick with my Ackies and my Kimberleys.
Cane toad will be the biggest thing, making sure everything is cane toad proof.
So
the
enclosure will be substantially high to make sure cane toads can't jump in, and it'll also give us that substrate layer, like a drainage layer, to keep it off the ground and moisture out.
That's something I didn't think you'd have to worry about, but you're right. That would really piss me off if I had this beautiful enclosure outside and a gorgeous animal and a cane toad jumped in and got murdered and took my snake with it. I would be very displeased.
Oh yeah.
But Jesus.
It's a big issue.
It's easy to overlook.
Yeah,
it's a lot. I had to do lots of searching. Working in a zoo as well. You've got lots of animals on exhibit. Outdoor exhibits and stuff like that. Part of my job when I was working in Australia Zoo was, every morning you're keeping an eye out for cane toads, and especially Komodo dragon exhibits and stuff like that as well.
Oh my God!
There's so many areas where they can get into, and when they're pretty determined to get somewhere, the old cane toad can find its way into some pretty unusual spots.
Yeah. I didn't even think about zoos and like having that didn't even cross my mind. Wow, that's wow.
That's terrifying. Yeah. What happened to the tiger? Well, it's like, no, that's no. Jesus.
Yeah, the little cane toad took the tiger out, right?
Yeah. Hell? I mean, that yeah. Jeez.
So what's the dream trip besides the going back to the Kimberley to see the rough scale python? What else is the dream trip?
Is there a dream trip in Australia, and is there a dream trip outside of Australia?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are they?
So for me, my dream trip would be doing all the remote parts of the Kimberley. Not areas where people can exactly get into by road, but by accessing your boats and helicopters and getting dropped off in certain areas for a period of time. To me, that is the ultimate thing, ultimate trip for me, because it's very untouched up there. And overseas trip, that's a very hard one. For me, a big one would probably be Galapagos. I'd love to go to Galapagos. to see marine iguanas. It would be a massive tick for me, is considering that I really do love free diving and diving as well as reptile sides of things. Being able to go there and dive and see marine iguanas for me would something I would certainly never forget.
I feel Hurping the Galapagos is cheating. It's like you walk on, there's the tortoise.
There it is.
Right? There it is. Done. Yeah, I mean, that was easy. Next thing, it's
awesome.
Mark, what about you? Like, is it still Kimberly or?
Yeah, Kimberly's got to be the biggest one. I've got so many new species to find still up there, so many unique species as well. So that's really my main go-to in Australia. Overseas, I'd really like to get to Africa. I was actually supposed to be in Africa mid last year, when pretty much just as COVID hit. I was in Africa, so the same. Not even just for the reptile side of it, but just all your big game animals and
sure.
Yeah,
wildlife over there is just incredible and so unique. So that's probably my big overseas bucket list.
So
you want to find a ball python, don't you?
But I was about to say, he's like, he's working or he's chasing a lapids. I mean, is this all just to prepare yourself to chase down a mamba? I mean, because I think they act different. Like, I think it's a little different, but
I'd be lying if I didn't say I'd be pretty nervous trying to handle it. I'd still have to do it.
Yeah, I'm having fun holding my life in my hands, but I'm having fun. Like, yeah, that's
Is there
awesome.
a specific part of Africa that you would want to go to?
It's so hard to say.
It's hard, right? It's like where do you want to go to in Australia for us, right? It's like,
yeah. I imagine certain things would be different. Like, if you're gonna look for Gaboon viper, you have to go there, you have to go here. I mean, maybe one of those things. So
the Congo or South Africa,
and then if you're just going for other animals too, like our friend Zach went and he got to go check out the mountain gorillas, and it'd be like, if I'm there, man, I want to go do that. Like it's
where you'd be spending 6 months to a year there and trying to do everything because
that's
the dream.
That's the dream.
That's the dream. Yeah. So are you gonna incorporate that into your YouTube channel as well, like Herp in other places?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Awesome.
I'm hoping we can go to Madagascar at some point, because I was lucky enough to spend a bit of time over in Madagascar. I spent just over a month there working, and I got to do really, really cool herping. And I really wish I had some good camera equipment and filming equipment, because I was lucky enough to see some amazing animals.
What'd you find?
Did you find the boas?
Did you find the hognose?
But I found a tree boa. I got so many chameleons. I got Parsons chameleons. I got little Brachysia. I got, when we're over there, I got Fossa as well. I was lucky enough to get a lot of your really cool endemic species.
Wow.
So many chameleons, mate. So many chameleons. That's
too many chameleons. Yeah. That's awesome.
Wow. Cool.
I do enjoy good Madagascar.
We definitely want to get out more overseas and film it. And we've got a bit of an idea. It'd be really cool to get to Komodo when we can. Myself and Mark have never been there before. And so we've got some ideas of Komodo in certain parts of Indonesia and certain islands that we can, that I think we should be able to make pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, even just the things out there of like finding Timor pythons, retics, white lips, all the fun. Yeah. Now you're talking my Indo-Python language. It's
Definitely.
Madagascar colubrids and Indo-pythons. Now you're speaking my language.
That
would be that.
Owen
awesome.
enjoys things that bite. he likes animals that bite.
I like snakes that
are quite cantankerous.
Not like a pet rock that you can put a top hat on its head and take some pictures of it. I prefer it to be an animal. So yeah.
I'm with you on that one, mate.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. My first ever snake, I was 9 years old, and there was a local breeder, and he had 4 or 5 of them on the table, and he's told me to choose which one I want. And I was having a look at them, and one of them bit me on the finger and wrapped my finger up straight away. It was a little blonde spotted python. And I was like, "This is my snake."
That's the rule. There's a rule in this house. If it bites you, we have to buy it. Like it's like that.
My first ever snake, and I was 9 years old, and I've still got her today, and she's gravid in her enclosure.
Oh,
ready to drop a bunch of eggs any day now.
Nice.
Wow.
She chose you.
Yeah.
Charlotte, my little baby.
Nice.
Exactly. It's when people are constantly asking me, "How do I make my snake nice?" I'm like, I don't know. Like I've never tried. Like your guess is as good as mine.
If it bites, it bites. If it doesn't,
it bit me on the hand. Don't lead with your hand. Like use a hook, you idiot. Like it's why I'm not.
So do you guys? Do you guys drop videos on a specific day, or is it like, just as you go on a trip and you have something to put up? Or
yeah, we sort of do it at our own leisure. We sort of said that when we were starting this, it's got to be a thing that as we've got time for, if it's
okay.
Much other things on, we bypass it for a while, but we're always trying to put footage. So, in the end, when we get the time to compose it all, we'll whack it together. And
our aim game, the aim of the game is to at least try and get one video a week out. When that is during the week, we're not too fussed, but now that we're living together and things are a lot easier, it had been, we live 3 hours apart, so it was rather hard to tee up, and we've been in COVID lockdown. But now that we live together, we know this area so well where we're living at the moment, and we know where we'll be able to find some really cool animals. And so our aim of the game is to, try and get a video a week out. And what's going to happen is I'm actually then going to move to Cairns. And Mark's going to be staying down here for a period of time. And then I'll continue to be trying to get a lot more videos because I'll be in a new area. I've never lived in Cairns before. I've done a lot of herping there, but I'm so excited to find my own new spots and, for different species. So I'll be doing a lot of filming like that. And then Mark is planning on doing a really big trip. Mark can fill us in on that early next year until he then meets up me in Cairns, and he's moving to Cairns as well. And then we'll be back together filming all episodes. Mark's got a really cool trip, man. I'll let him fill you in on that.
Yeah, so I'm going to plan to take 4 months away. And pretty much travel right around Australia. I spend the bulk of my time in WA because that's where most of the stuff I want to find is. But I've been on the road for like 4 months, just trying to get as much footage as I can of all different stuff, mostly reptile related, of course. Finding all the new main things, finding new species I haven't found before over there. But at the same time, like I want to go find orcas in the wild, get some footage of that. Whale. There's a lot of diving off the WA coast as well. Whale sharks.
Sure. That's awesome.
Do you need somebody to carry your equipment?
I'll hold the boom mic for you if that's what you want. Yeah,
I'll record the footage. No worries.
I'll just chase you. Yeah, it's just fine. You guys
that's epic, man.
You feel like
guys just
epic trip.
Camera bags around. Let me tell you that.
Everybody needs that. Come on. I'll make sure we have enough icebreakers for all. So it's
I'll cook dinner. Whatever you need, man.
Yeah.
Just call me Butler Burke.
Yeah. So you guys just got done. You guys were diving with sharks a little bit ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the last video. Yeah.
What kind of sharks were they?
They were grey nurse sharks. So they're grey nurse sharks. They're listed as threatened, vulnerable. They're listed as vulnerable here in Australia. They're certainly not in as high numbers as what they used to be.
There's like a few thousand.
Yeah, I think there's only around about 3,000 left in the wild. And they're actually a fairly timid shark. They're a rather large shark, and they can get quite big. But often or not, they're very, very calm and chilled around divers. Especially, scuba diving and free diving, they can be very relaxed with. I've grown up spearfishing. I do a lot of spearfishing. I've had some encounters where they've certainly switched that, for obvious reasons, the smell of blood in the water and stuff like that. They've never had a go at me exactly, but they are a rather relaxed shark. And the other sharks that you would have seen in there, the smaller ones that were congregated together, those are pork sharks as well.
Okay. Okay.
It was good to get out for that dive. It was a bit. It all kind of. It was a bit of a weird day. Like as soon as we got in the water, it's really good to stick with a buddy, especially when you're going as far as we were around the islands and stuff. And let me tell you, an hour north of where we were is one of the biggest great white breeding populations.
I was about to ask.
In that area where we are, it is great white sharks, full shark city. There's a lot of sharks around. So we do like to stay close, as keep a bit of a buddy system. But as we got down to the water, we've looked up and there's just these whales breaching right in front of us.
Oh, dude.
I just looked at Mark and said, mate, I can't pass this opportunity up. So I bolted back with all my gear and hooked the drone up and got some images of that. And Mark started going out.
I was fully kitted up in the scuba gear. And there's so much weight, so heavy and awkward, and just takes so much time to get into it all. I'm like, I'm going to be that slow swimming out there anyway. I was like, I'll just start making my way out there. I'll meet you out there.
Because I was freediving, so it's a lot quicker for me. And we planned to eat out the back of this island where these grey nurse sharks will hang out. And by the time I got out, I was swimming out. And I'm like, there's no Mark around. And then I got out the back, and the water was really churny. There was a lot of bait fish around. Like it was feeling sharky, and I couldn't see Mark anywhere. So I hung around for a bit and had a little poke around, and then I thought, you know what, it's probably best to head back in. And then it got because I was worried. I didn't know what had happened to Mark, because considering last time we went scuba diving, this bloke nearly died. He lost his GoPro, he smashed it. And you can fill in the
What happened there?
We don't have a good track record with diving. Last time, it was a fairly still day, and we just saw like the same. We're looking for grey nurse sharks in around rocks, and that you're similar to Hurping. You're looking for good habitat. So sort of, Josh and myself sort of nestled into these around the edge of the rocks to look for nurses, and I've gone down on scuba. And I sort of lost Josh, so I was like, I'll come up and try and spot him from the surface. It's a lot easier. And where I've come up, I popped up right next to the rocks in a really awkward spot. And so I'm sort of shitting myself. I'm trying to swim as hard as I can out away from the rocks. As soon as I've done that, this like group of waves has just come straight after it and washed me up into the rocks. And I've got all my scuba gear on. GoPro's on. It was strapped to my arm on a stick, so you can sort of get the footage and that. And I've got sort of tumbleweeded into the first set of rocks off this first wave, and then it's pushed me over that set of rocks and then into like a gully. And I'm trying to swim out of that gully. Then the next wave's hit me and pushed me to the next set of rocks again. And I've still got my scuba rag, and it's getting thrown out of my mouth each time I hit the rocks. I'm sort of like desperately trying to grab this rag and put it back into my mouth so I can take some breaths before I get tumbleweeded again. And in the end, I got washed up onto the third set of rocks, and that was sort of protected enough that I could sort of climb up and get out of the way of the waves. I've looked down, and the stick that my GoPro was on was snapped clean in half.
Holy shit!
It looked like the GoPro mount and everything. It was the actual stick that broke in half. That's how much I sort of hit these rocks with impact.
Oh wow!
I've sort of got up myself up on the rocks and composed myself and looked out and couldn't find Josh anywhere. So I sort of sat there for a bit, got my breath back, and then sort of swam back out and we sort of met up on the beach, and he had no idea any of that had happened.
Holy hell!
Where's the
I
footage?
got of about 4 minutes, so I was down there with the fishes having a great time.
He's getting beat the hell up and
but this is not even a week before I was about to do that Cape York trip, and we're so thankful, like Lisa from Top End Pythons, because I just hit her up. I was like, I lost my GoPro. I need that. Straight away she's looked after it and sorted it all out for us. It's been amazing how he
massive shout out to them for that.
Yeah,
really taking a leap of faith in us, and we're very thankful.
Yeah.
So Josh, with spearfishing,
she speaks very highly of you guys for sure.
Yeah. So, Josh, with spearfishing your whole life, have you had any really close encounters with, like, say, a white shark or anything like that? That would be kind of be a little more of like you saw your soul leave your body kind of a thing. Like,
my soul has left my body numerous times.
Several times.
as well as my dignity a couple of times too.
Yeah, that's neither here nor there.
I've never actually seen a great white shark in the flesh. So I haven't had an encounter with a great white, but bull sharks, however, and bronze whaler sharks, I've had a couple of encounters with. One of the closest beach to where I used to live, where I did a lot of my spear fishing, it was pretty renowned for having a lot of bull sharks about. The one time that I've been the most scared was with spearfishing. I was with my friend, and we were a fair bit offshore. You know, we're a good, I'd say, 600, 700 meters offshore at this bombing, where we were doing, you know, fairly deep dive spearfishing, and we were spearing, and this little boat came along, and he's pulled over. He's like, "Look, fellas, I was fishing just up there. Just letting you know that every time I've caught a fish, there's been two big bull sharks hanging around, snapping my line off. Anyway, catch us later." And he kept driving.
Thanks, bye.
So, what? In the middle of nowhere. You know, you want to give us a lift back, mate? You didn't. Oh.
Good luck. What?
Yeah. Thanks for letting us know. So, get the heart rate raising even more. So he's left. He's gone. And so we decided that we should probably start moving back a little closer to shore. And sure enough, as we started, these two very, very large bull sharks were hot on our tail, coming right into it, like where our fins were, and almost like having a little nip at our fins and turning last minute. And these are big sharks, you know. These are take your leg off kind of sharks. And you know, the biggest thing is, you know, you want to keep your body facing them. You want to be facing them the whole time, and you want to keep that distance, but really remain as calm as you possibly can in those situations. Which, let me tell you,
that's what I would be thinking. Remain calm.
But as soon as we hit the rocks, I was like Mark on scuba gear, but it was on purpose. I was like, throw me on the rocks, waves.
Get me out of here.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Cuts left, right, and center, but it was worth it because I survived.
Nice.
They took our fish. But we have our fish on the line, which is a bit further away from us, which is you know, pretty safe practice to do so. It was once they'd finished eating those fish, they decided to go
come a little closer.
Other ideas.
Yeah. Holy shit!
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're really excited to incorporate so much of that stuff too. It's not just going to be reptiles. We want to have a good all-rounder of what we want to show.
Right. Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's what, like I said, that's what I sort of enjoy about the channel that you got going on. But well, we're at the the 2-hour mark, and Owen likes to ask some closing questions, and then so I'm going to leave it to it.
Fantastic.
I mean, we've already answered a couple of them, but we kind of haven't gotten into it. I mean, we talked about where you guys would want to go herping around the world and stuff like that, but what would you be hoping to find? I know you guys are talking about marine iguanas and stuff like that, but what's your one thing that you really want to see in the wild anywhere in the world?
Mine, I know I said marine iguanas and Galapagos, and that is something I'm very excited for. But probably one of my biggest ticket items, which is almost seems like a little bit out of reach for this point in time, is Boelen's pythons. I would love to see a Boelen's in the wild. That really would be a very, very risky herp trip, but let me tell you, it would certainly be one that you'd remember. And that's, I've always been fascinated by Boelen's. I've absolutely loved them. I've got the book. I've seeing the spots where they religiously return to, and you can actually pick where a python's been because they've flattened it down that much. Seeing one of them in the wild would be the ultimate for me. And like I said, it seems like a very sketchy place to go to, and can be rather dangerous. But one day, I mean, it's certainly, I've never shied away from doing anything dangerous in the past, and I highly doubt I will in the future.
And have you seen one in the flesh at all ever or anything like that?
I was lucky enough to see one at San Diego Zoo in the flesh.
There you go. Yeah.
And I stood there and I watched it for about 40 minutes, and it did nothing. But I watched it for 40 minutes anyway.
Yeah, I like I said, our friend Keith has a couple, and he let us hold the one time, and it actually like bluffed, like swung at me, and that was one of those moments where you saw your soul leave your body, because it has a very, very big head, and you're like, nope, that would have hurt a lot. Like, thank you for not actually. Yeah, but that's cool. That would be a fun one. Mark, what about you?
Oh, it's a hard reptile wise. I'd say probably black mamba would be my big one to see in the wild. Just so much respect for that species. It's incredible. But like, as far as I'd literally love to see a tiger in the wild. That's probably big. You know, up there higher than even a black mamba. You know, just all wildlife really, not just reptile specific.
That's awesome. All right, so would you guys be adding anything to your collections this year, and what will they be?
Once we move, we've got quite a few things on the wish list.
My top of my wish list for once we move is Prasnus, emerald tree monitors. I think that's probably both of ours.
Yeah, we're both on.
Okay.
They're very new to the scene here in Australia, and I know that they're quite a popular pet. A lot of collections have them more so than over here in Europe and America, and they're very new on the scene here. There's been for years they've been on a license, but no one's really had them. But people have had them, but aren't breeding them exactly. And but they're readily available now. Cut a long story short, they've still got a very hefty price tag. But that is a species that I'm really excited to keep. Yeah. We're both excited to keep a lot more varanids. Yeah. Being able to keep them outdoors and that's rock on varanids. I love them.
No, he gets Ackies and he gets Kimberly rock monitors, and then apparently now I've lost him to varanid. Like I got to drag him back. In the whole snake thing. I'm sorry, and he has a blue tongue skink too. So yeah.
In his defense, Kimberly rock monitors.
They're cool.
All right. Yeah. I mean, they would be my pick if I were to start getting into little lizards. So yeah.
I watched them for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right there.
The other day.
No. When I was off, my day off, I'm editing podcasts and whatnot, and just like, you see the light clicks on. So I have the sunlight from the room come in first, and then the light will click on, and UV will click on, all that kind of stuff.
They'll come scampering
out.
They'll
go up to the top and they'll fight each other for the basking spot, and it's the only way I get to get my Australia fix is just I have this
watching the
little
lizards.
exoterracized chunk of Australia in a computer room, But
that's awesome, man. I'm jealous. I wish I had those species myself, mate. Sorry,
very, very cool. Very cool.
We get up there, Kimberleys and Pilbras. We love to get. I love rock monitors. They're just incredible.
Oh yeah, holy shit!
I'm excited up there to try something new for me, and that's keep file snakes. I've never.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd really like to. I've kept them at work before in a zoo collection. I've worked with a few, but I'd like to do it at home, and that's them and Maclay's water snakes, two species that I'm looking forward to giving a crack at. Keeping, because I know it can be a little bit harder. Keeping aquatic species of reptile, and it takes things to a whole new level of herp keeping, which is the stuff that I'm always excited to give a go and try and learn the best practices as best we can.
We're both sort of keen to get into aquariums up there as well. Obviously down here, it's quite expensive to run heating aquarium. You can only take up room. So I'm the same. I want to get some freshwater stingrays when I move up there. They're another one on the bucket list for me. So.
That's the other problem is you guys. I mean, you guys are into like reptiles, like aquatic stuff. Like, I mean, you're like, oh yeah, we're totally gonna get these things, and then we're gonna have a saltwater tank over here, and then we're gonna put that in. It's like that's like if he and I ever got a farm, he'd be like, what are you doing? This is where the kangaroos will go. Like, this is where I'm going to put them. And if you have a problem with that, you can go and put whatever you want over there. Like this is for my kangaroos. Like, I could see that, and I like the freshwater stingray idea and all of this stuff. It's just, and I also enjoy the file snakes. That's got to be something different too, because that's got to be interesting.
So our good friend Tony Dura, he's out in California, and he keeps the New Guinea version of those, and he's had some pretty good success. So if you're looking for some tips and stuff, you should I think it's Revision Reptiles, Facebook or Instagram. He posts up a lot because it's such a species that you don't see really that well in captivity, and I think a lot of people get nervous about keeping an aquatic snake, I guess, but he's really dialed it in, and
they're really
it's pretty cool. Yeah,
we'll definitely have to have some chats with him. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's got the tank with the live fish. That these things every once in a while he'll put up a video of one of them taking out a fish and just wrapping it up and swallowing it down. Yeah,
I've seen that thing actually.
Yeah.
Listen.
That's awesome.
Cool. Well, did you hit on all the questions, Evan?
I hit on the ones that we had. They already told me where they wanted to go herping, so we just talked about
the
species they want to go. Apparently, they want to go with Ari up the mountain, like to go find some Bolanai at one point, which is
that would be cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then look at Mambas. So you can't go with them to go look at Mambas, though.
So, all right. So, I'm super jealous that you guys are getting to go on your herping trip, but I wish you much success. And look forward to seeing some cool videos coming off of that trip. And man, anytime you guys want to come on or any way we can help you or whatever, just give a shout out.
If you guys have a kick-ass trip and you want to pop on and tell us how it friggin' went,
come on and tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Come and rub it in our faces. We'll only hate you a little bit.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. It's honestly greatly appreciated.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you guys have a website you want to toss out there? The YouTube channel? Anything else you want to put out there for people to find you guys to check out your stuff?
It's mainly just a YouTube at the moment. Josh and Greeny's Wild Aussie Adventures, but Mark has Instagram, Mark Green 13.
I've got a reptile specific one as well, Mark _Green _reptiles, and mine's Josh Hatten 16. So it's just my name with 16 at the end. Really.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
There's what we call an Australian wanker shot with me feeding the crocodiles my food.
Okay. All right.
We know of the wanker shot. We've taken several ourselves. So
here's the question. Do you guys post, like, when you're on your trips? Do you post stuff to Instagram as you're on your trips, like little sneak peeks and stuff like that?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. You're about to get several new followers. So
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm certainly probably on there a little bit more than Mark, but I like to get up a couple of good teasers and show some of the areas that we're going through, and we try and we'll post some animals, but usually not the best quality shots of them. And then you guys can see the really good stuff.
Yeah, you save the good stuff for. Yeah, I got you. All right,
I get you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys coming on and taking the time and chatting with us. And like I said, open invite whenever you want to come on and chat about a trip or something new you found, or the trip to the Kimberley if we didn't make it there before you did.
No. Yeah. No, I don't want to. As much as I wish you guys luck. We can leave Owen
off of that one.
No, I don't want to be there. I don't want to hear you guys find a rough scale python. As much as I would be happy for you, it would hurt me greatly. So,
I would have to hear about it. Yeah, absolutely.
No, our track record, mate. It might be a while before we can anyway.
We'll all meet up in the Kimberley. We'll just make that up. Everybody goes together. So there you go.
Cool. All right, and then we'll have to give a shout out to Lisa and Darren, Top End Pythons for sure. I guess are they? I know they have. They're on Facebook, and I guess they're on Instagram too, right? Top End Pythons. Okay.
Top End Pythons. Yeah, they're
very cool.
Quite a large snake breeding facility down in Sydney. Anyone in the Sydney and Central Coast region that wants to buy some snakes, definitely hit them
up. Okay.
Awesome.
I only wish I could hit them up. I would be sending you piles and piles of cash.
Order lists.
Yeah. Owen evacuated the area, I guess.
Right.
Anyway. He probably got booted somehow. We had enough of him. But yeah, again, thanks guys. And really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. So best of luck on your trip. And Owen's back.
Thank you.
Any last words, Owen?